Okay, what's up, people? Hope everyone's doing well. Excuse me. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome back to another stream. As always, guys, if you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And of course, make sure you do check out the Discord channel. It is linked in the description. You can find updates there. Chat with other traders, discuss ideas, chat with myself. I share some of my ideas there as well. So if you are looking to join a community, make sure you head over, go check it out. Links in the description, free to join. You can also find it at the top of the chat as well. But good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We've got another stream to go through. We're going to go through, of course, every market under the sun. Any particular requests, just let me know, put it in the chat, and we'll take a look. Of course, any time frames as well. And if you're looking to trade or just want my opinion on, I'll go through the USD side of things first. As always, we'll go through the DXY, USD majors, gold and silver. Probably go through my watch list for the remainder of the week. Currently in an Aussie CHF position, we can go over that as well. But first things first, as always, we'll go through the dollar. So coming to the week, been pretty bearish on USD, and we haven't really seen too much development in that, to be honest. I'm still looking for a push back into this low here, just around 98. That's still my targets, my trajectory for the dollar. We had a bit of a bullish start to the week, but then price did find some bearish momentum there pretty aggressively yesterday afternoon. And we're back at square one. We're back at support again. So can the market break through support? That's the big question. I do think we will. So I am expecting to see the dollar do something like this again in the next couple of days. Again, would you look to try and short that? Not really. We're directly at support. Now's not the best time to be shorting, to be honest. As I said at the start of the week, if we are going to get some opportunities, primarily focusing on the DXY would be a break and retest sort of situation, clearing support, then finding a retest for some entries there. But in terms of my expectation for the dollar, it is more downside. I'm not looking to trade the DXY, but I do use it in terms of confluence to gauge what the DXY is doing, what USD is doing, and that can of course help define my bias going into other USD majors. So right now, that's what I'm expecting for the dollar. We might bounce again to the upside, but we are still forming lower highs here. I like the move that we had yesterday afternoon, very kind of aggressive, kind of showing that the bears are still alive and well. So the break of that support, I do think is likely at some stage, but that's kind of what we're banking on in terms of an opportunity. Excuse me. In terms of Euro USD, which pretty much looking at the exact opposite, and we kind of had the same situation, maybe not as aggressive on the way up, but essentially price did come back to respect this zone, which is what we were looking for at the start of the week. And then we have, of course, cleared the highs there as well. So I'm basically looking at the continuation of this bullish structure here. We did have a slight break of structure there, but we anticipated the price to kind of recover that. And now it looks like we're continuing. So with that in mind, I do expect more upside. I'm expecting Euro to get back to the highs at 1.156. Again, in terms of opportunities, this was the area for the buy, retesting prior resistance turn support. That was the area for the buy, which we were discussing at the start of the week. Now that we've kind of left that area behind, it's either price does come back for a retest, potentially a big double bottom, or we go and clear resistance again and we look for some type of retest above that level. And so on and so forth, all the way back to the highs is what are we looking for. As I said yesterday, the only thing I don't like about Euro is that we are very, very corrective, which does make me feel like we're pushing up just to come back down at some point. But momentum can change, so I'm not going to judge that in too much detail, because if we just have suddenly a strong push to the upside, break the highs, well, Euro's looking healthy again. But we'll see as price progresses. And in terms of before the end of the week, before today and tomorrow, these are the two opportunities I think could potentially present themselves. So for the time being, still very bullish on Euro and still looking for a push back to the swing high. Pound USD, lovely move to the upside as well. Again, quite corrective. So do take that into consideration. Yes, the market is very bullish. Yes, we're still consistent with the higher highs and higher lows, but you can see how staggered we are on the way up. Not something you would associate with confident trending environments and a confident buyer's market. This is definitely bullish, and I do expect us to break the highs, but at some point we probably will go for a bit of a sell, as you would expect. The market's not going to trend to the upside forever. We've already been trending for a while too, so I do think a bit of a drop is going to be on the cards pretty soon for pound and euro and some other USD pairs. But for now, I still do expect to see new highs, which we haven't quite seen yet. So I do think we will still get another rally before the week does end. We did see a nice retest of this zone here, which is what we were talking about yesterday. Nice break and retest at the start of the week as well. Nice break and retest at that level. We have pushed to the upside since then. Looks like we're also having another break and retest on this area. Prior resistance broke through that yesterday, and since then we spent a few hours retesting that level. Then again this morning, nice push to the upside there as well. So again, as long as that maintains, I do think this is still a great place to buy the market back to the highs, especially if you're looking at maybe like a 5-minute chart. Maybe not 5 minute, more like 30-minute chart. I feel like this is a nice place for a buy because you can refine risk, still wait for a solid rejection before entering, and still get a decent risk reward between this level and the high. But yeah, in terms of trajectory, still very bullish on pound, expecting a lot more upside. Dollar CAD, pretty bearish on that one as well. Again, still falling. I did talk about price revisiting this area, but as we can see with hindsight, that did not happen. And to be honest, I wasn't too sure if it will happen. I mean, it was always an area which I wanted the price to get to because it's the only place where it would make sense in terms of me selling the market. But I could see that we're looking pretty bearish here, and the odds of price rolling over were pretty great, and that's exactly what happened here with dollar CAD. But there was an opportunity for me to trade it anyway, which is really the point. But yeah, I'm still expecting a push back into this zone. We're very, very close to it now. Of course, this is where we had a really big kind of double bottom and price flew to the upside very aggressively. I do think naturally price is just heading towards that area for a big retest. We might bounce from there, we might reverse, we might break through. We'll judge price when we get there, but dollar CAD is another pair which, again, is pretty bearish. We've been falling for a while. I do think we'll see a pretty big recovery at some point now. I still like this zone here. If price was to pull back into this area, kind of maybe fake out this high here, I think that's still a nice opportunity to look for a short. But again, will we pull back to test that zone before we do continue? Judging how things are looking, we probably will just fall there. So again, still something to look at because you don't know what price will do next. It definitely is an opportunity which would interest me if it does happen. But judging everything, judging momentum, we're probably just going to make our way back into support. Then I might start to be looking for buys for dollar CAD. If things look good, price is reacting well. I'm seeing good shift in structure, positive signs of momentum shifting. So big, strong, bullish engulfing candles, wicks. I may look to try and take some buys there, but we'll probably save that discussion for when we actually get there. Aussie dollar still overall bullish, still climbing higher, but again, very staggered market. Not really interested in trading price whilst we're in this range here, to be honest. So I'm just leaving price to do its thing. We're very, very consistent, I must say, with all these high lows. So I did mention yesterday that if price was to push back down to the low end of the range of the channel, I think that still would be a very smart place for a buy, because the likelihood is that price does bounce at this level, and we probably do see a push back into resistance. So that's probably a nice trade to take advantage of, just continuing what the market is already doing. But as I said, conditions are choppy. This is not optimal for my trading style, so I want to stay away and just wait for trending conditions to come back into the market. Hopefully that will happen soon. Whether we break to the upside or to the downside is yet to be seen. But I'm not really seeing much apart from maybe some buys at the lows, which we'll have to wait and see if price will actually get back down there again. But yeah, for the most part, not a big fan of the price action. Very, very corrective. NZUSD is getting there. We're starting to break through some resistance now. So I'm liking the look of this one. I kind of want to see a bit more momentum. because it's a very, very big level, provided resistance very well on 3 occasions, 1, 2, and 3. And of course, we had a bit of a fake out there with this 4th attempt, and now it looks like we're breaking it again. So I do want price to clear this level with some distance, with some momentum. Then yeah, that does open up the door to break and retest opportunities and trading at that level as support. So that's really what I'm looking at for NZD/USD. Very, very consistent with all these higher lows, similar to Aussie dollar, just continuous higher lows there. But yeah, momentum is a key thing, and a strong breakout and clearing this level with some distance is basically what I'm looking for now. Before I would look for the retest, I wouldn't look for the retest now. It's a bit too shallow for me to look for a pullback. But if we can have a much bigger breakout, sure, this is definitely something I will look to trade myself. And in terms of gold, yeah, gold looking bullish. Unfortunately, didn't see the test of that zone yesterday. We had a very strong wick into, well, close to that level the day before. So I was kind of hoping yesterday we could push into that zone, maybe take out that wick and then fly. But looks like gold had other plans and already looking pretty bullish. I don't know, this is still pretty corrective. I wouldn't put it past gold pushing down. But yeah, I think in terms of probability, you probably would just break higher, to be honest. Another opportunity for gold would just be the breaking test of this level now, since it doesn't look like we're getting the retest here. We just missed it over there by a fraction. But if we were to clear this level well, of course, that would provide some more break and retest opportunities. But the plan for gold is, ever since we've broken out of this bull flag pattern, this channel here, which we did at the start of the week, wasn't it? Yeah, start of the week. We've been very, very bullish for gold, and now looking for a pushback to the all-time high, 3,500. So very bullish in gold, onwards and upwards, expecting more upside. Did miss that opportunity there. I mean, didn't actually materialize, so technically didn't really miss anything, but we didn't quite get the retest there. And now, yeah, possibly this could be the next best bet for gold. So keep an eye on the breaking retest of the high at 33.89. But my expectation for gold is definitely a lot more upside. And silver, likewise. Very impressive price. I didn't see that this morning, actually. I didn't actually look at silver. But silver's on one. And silver has cleared 35. I did not see that. Wow, impressive stuff from silver. So that break retest opportunity didn't even come into play at all. We spoke about the retest of this level here yesterday, 33.7. Did have a slight pullback there. Came up 3/4 of the way. That was more than enough for price. Now we're looking very bullish, and we're breaking through the high very, very well. So I like this from silver because it means momentum's back into the market. We're breaking the high. As I said in the higher time frames, I think this is only the beginning. I know price is clearing high, so it looks like price is overbought. But in fairness to silver, we've been consolidating for quite a while now. We haven't really been trending well. So I do think we can probably see a similar kind of distance of that range. We could probably see price break out and make a similar move to the upside. And that kind of brings us to around the 40 mark, which is a pretty big psychological level. I think that's the next big box for silver to tick off. So with the break of this level, which looks like it's underway, as long as we can stay above it, I do think we can see a lot more upside. So dropping back to the 4-hour chart, retest of this range here can definitely provide some nice opportunities for silver. So that is the opportunity. And now things look a lot clearer. Silver in here, very, very messy. Now we've got the breakout, slight pause, another breakout. Momentum is clear. We're breaking through key levels. If you can find some pullbacks, this is definitely a good market to try and follow and just trail stops and see how far you can take it, really. But yeah, silver's looking very bullish. I do expect gold to see some momentum as well. But yeah, expecting more upside there as well. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the USD side of things. Gold, silver looking very bullish. More upside there is pretty likely. USD majors, still expecting USD weakness. So euro up, pound up, Aussie up. This is kind of what I'm expecting as well. What's up, DT? Hope you're well. Hope your profit is. Do you think profit's getting hit? No, not quite yet. Still quite far away for Aussie CHF, but the trade's going well. So hopefully we can pick up some momentum. But same to you as well, DT. Sultan, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're well. That's great to hear. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. And of course, hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But I do appreciate everyone who has liked. Aussie CHF longs. Yeah, I'll go through that. I'm currently long on Aussie CHF. Zondiwe. Definitely saying that wrong. Morning, hope you're well. Welcome. What's up, D-Mark? Good morning, welcome to the stream. But yeah, in terms of Aussie CHF, I did hop into a long position a couple days ago. Or was it yesterday? Tuesday. Yeah, a couple days ago. So yeah, hopped into a long trade for this one a couple days ago, looking for a big swing to the upside. Again, the idea with Aussie CHF is that prices come back from all-time lows, and I'm expecting price to recover that. And this bearish move, I've been anticipating just to be a pullback for price to continue to the upside. So the trade is based on trying to capitalize on a low forming, a higher low forming, and then a continuation to the upside. So yeah, and of course we got that nice double bottom, nice shift in momentum, which provided the entry signal, and now we're looking for price to continue higher. We are starting to see some momentum, which is nice. Very strong close this morning, which I like to see. Looks like this level is kind of held as support, which I think is important in terms of building the trade, because now price is breaking resistance and now holding it as support, which is showing that the buyers are starting to gain ground, and we are seeing some momentum sustain as well, rather than just collapse back into support again. So trade's looking a lot better. Momentum's looking good as well. Of course, we still got some resistance here to contend with. Once we do break through that, I will go to break even and remove risk. So this is the key thing for the trade, really, in terms of getting risk removed and being break even. But of course, in terms of the full plan of the trade, it is to come back and test that zone, because that's where all the momentum came from. This is where all the selling pressure came into the market. And we had that big kind of collapse for the CHF and the JPY pairs earlier this year. We had such a strong push down, and that's where all the momentum came from. So naturally, I do think price is going to be drawn back towards that area. And then especially since the market's coming from all-time lows, that gives added confidence to expect price to push higher, because at all-time lows, you're not going to expect price to keep selling off, because all the sellers that that brought that reality in terms of the all-time lows probably will be exiting their positions, taking profits now. And judging the history of the market, every time you do have these kind of mini sell-offs and price does sweep the prior low, creating new all-time lows, the market is pretty quick to recover. So I do think something similar could be happening with Aussie CHF, New Zealand CHF, which is why I've been looking to trade that one as well. But yeah, the plan is simply pull back and now continuation. So if you're looking to try and get into Aussie CHF longs, I would say the breaking retest of this zone looks pretty good for an opportunity. Solid resistance, if we break through that, that kind of does put to bed this bearish structure. And now we can focus on some bullish structure at that point. So that will be a clear break of structure. And of course, you've got a decent level for a retest there as well. Acted at resistance very well a couple times. So Aussie CHF, I like the longs here. Of course, I'm in the long. But I think that could be a nice opportunity for trading entries if you're not already in the trade. But yeah, expectation, a swing back to the high. But more importantly, back into that zone there. So hopefully we can see some momentum now. Demo got into Euro Aussie sell. Okay, nice. After retrace. Yeah, okay. So I was looking at Euro Aussie as well, but I decided to go for Aussie CHF again. Still basically banking on Aussie strength coming into the market. So didn't trade them both, but I'll go through Euro Aussie. It was a pair I was looking to trade. Yusuf, good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Mateo? Probably saying that incorrectly, but I hope you're well. No, I do not use SMC. Support, resistance, market structure, momentum, trend analysis. Again, it's not just support resistance, but of course, support resistance does make up a big part of my trading. But it's mainly confluence, it's building a narrative, building and understanding what the market is likely to do next, and then buying and selling in areas where we're likely to bounce from. I do pay attention to supply and demand as well, but support resistance is definitely my bread and butter. So yeah, in terms of Euro Aussie, we are looking pretty bearish now. I did actually get the same entry signal for Euro Aussie as Aussie CHF. So I got the signal at the same time, but again, I just chose Aussie CHF instead. But even if I chose Euro Aussie, would be in a bit of profit. At the moment, actually more profit, to be honest, actually. Because I would have had a stop loss, something like that. So I would have been floating about 1R. I don't think Aussie CHF's at 1R yet. Yeah, not quite. So a bit more profit there, but again, very, very similar positions. But yeah, Euro Aussie, I was looking to short this one as well. It's been on the watch list since last week. So only this week we actually started to really create some nice bearish structure. Price did tap into this support level, which was turn resistance. Nice double top into that area. Nice rejection as well. The reason why I did chose Aussie CHF is because the candle for the entry was a bit bigger, a bit more impactful. This one was a nice rejection, but didn't really cause any significant change. So, which is why I just chose Aussie CHF. But again, they're going to do similar things. But the key thing I like about Euro Aussie is that we're very corrective on the way up, which tells me there's a good chance that price is probably going to push down, especially because the overall trend for the market is still very much up. You know, Aussie CHF, Euro Aussie is very much a bullish market. So when we are seeing bullish legs, you would expect them to be more impulsive, expect them to have more momentum, see big bullish candles. The fact that the up move is very corrective is a strong sign to tell you that this uptrend is running out of steam. We probably will go for a bit of a sell-off. Now, not saying that the trend is going to reverse, absolutely not. We could just push down a little bit and then continue. That could still very much be the case. But at least on this up move that we saw, we are seeing a very corrective, very fatigued move here. So that does tell me that Euro Aussie is likely to break lower and probably push back into these lows. Again, not necessarily saying reversal, but I would expect another bearish leg. So this counter trend, bearish counter trend here, I would expect to continue. So yeah, Euro Aussie, I would expect to push back to the lows here at 1.73. There's some big levels below us at these areas, 1.71 we'll call it. That could be a bit of a draw on price. Might see us end up back at that level. But yeah, Euro Aussie doing a really good job at respecting resistance. Looks like this kind of counter trend line is breaking or has broken. Now hopefully we can see momentum pick up again. But I think Euro Aussie was a great sell. I just decided to go on the Aussie CHF route. But yeah, pretty much the same idea. Gold trading, tell me. OKG, I mean, in terms of gold, I think the price action is actually pretty straightforward. It's just bullish. That's not gold. Why did I type pound NZD? That's weird. Yeah, so in terms of gold, yeah, very, very bullish. Higher highs, higher lows. We've broken out this descending channel. So I would expect gold just to continue back to highs at this point, which is just shy of 3,500. Momentum looks good. Looks like we're starting to push this 4-hour candle, starting to push really aggressively now. So perhaps some momentum's coming back into the market. I was talking about the retest of this zone, but unfortunately didn't quite see that happen. Now this is the next best opportunity, 33.90. So yeah, waiting for that level to clear, pullbacks, a retest of that zone. And now I'm expecting price to continue back to highs. So if you're looking for an opportunity, I'd wait for the break and retest here. Maybe on like an hourly chart or hourly chart, I think we find, or even 30 or 15 minute, to be honest. But any of those time frames should provide some nice entries with refined stop losses. But yeah, break and retest, and then you can probably look to target the next swing high, which is 34.34, and then 3,500. But yeah, overall, very, very bullish for gold. Ahmed, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Alan, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so you're long gold. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, we're coming to resistance now, so I don't know about buying it at the moment. Of course, yeah, I'm still expecting price to break resistance, but I still don't want to be buying into resistance. So I would wait for the break and retest, or of course, the opportunity which I was waiting for, the retest of this area, which is not looking likely at the moment. So yeah, I do like gold longs. Of course, we're coming to resistance now, so ideally kind of waiting for that to break. And then yeah, retest opportunities, and or even just buying on the breakout as well. I don't necessarily have to wait for the retest. I would, but of course, breakout opportunities allow you to enter the trade without kind of waiting for the retest, and sometimes you don't always get the retest too. So that's sometimes the cons of a retest. But yeah, onwards and upwards for gold. Not seeing any signs of this one selling off just yet. Yusuf, thoughts on gold, dollar yen, pound yen. Okay, zooming the 50-minute as well, but I'll take a look at them. Alan still shorting US30. Okay, fair enough. I haven't actually looked at US30. I'm still quite bullish on that one, but we'll go through US30 as well. G Child, pound NZ since you typed it. Yeah, I guess that is a bit of a sign there. I should go through it, shouldn't I? Okay, I'll go through gold, dollar yen, pound yen, US30, and I'll take a look at pound NZD. Okay, interesting. So you're buying NAS 100, but you're shorting US30. A bit of a contradiction there in terms of the correlation. But I suppose you can view it as a hedge as well. You know, if one trade fails, the other trade should work out. As long as you got positive risk to reward, it should outweigh the loss of the other one. So you can probably look at it as a hedge as well. But anyway, let's go through dollar yen and pound yen. So with these two, looking pretty bearish. Okay, wow, very, very strong drop to the downside there. Broke out that consolidation and just kept tanking. So yeah, at this point, it looks like we're probably going to see some continuation lower. I like how we are respecting this area here just about. This is also a nice place for a short as well, the retest of the range. If price was to have a bigger pullback, that would still be a nice place to catch a sell. But the way I see it with dollar yen is that we tried to continue, but essentially this high rejected price and kept us bearish, and now we've sold off again. So my expectation for dollar yen would be a push back into this low. If we can continue to respect this area, perhaps a nice double top could shape up, and I think that could be a nice opportunity. You can see how corrective we are on the way up here. This tells me that this is probably just a pullback for us to continue lower. So I'm not looking at us potentially reversing here. I'm also looking at us pushing down. And like I said, if we were to have a slightly bigger pullback, well, this area looks good as well. So I wouldn't really be focused on the buys at all, really, with dollar yen. Market's still bearish, still seeing some nice momentum. Those two areas look good for shorts. The only way I would consider longs for dollar yen is if we were to break this to the upside. So create new highs past this point, because we'll also probably break through that high as well. Then yeah, after that, I would expect a higher low and a continuation. So that would be a nice buy opportunity. But until then, I would stay committed with the sells. Really nice impulse, very corrective pullback, starting to fail at these highs, potentially a bit of a head and shoulder pattern there. And if this area does give way, I would also look at the retest of the range. And yeah, target's back at the low at 142.4. So yeah, pretty bearish here for dollar yen. In terms of pound yen, this one had a bit of a sell yesterday, but recovered very, very well. I was actually talking about the retest of this area, but didn't really provide much of a bounce yesterday. But yeah, we have recovered very sharply. I would say the price action not looking particularly great on the 15. We are a little bit all over the place, I must say. But I would have a bullish bias here for pound yen. I still do think we can rally higher. But in terms of finding an entry, I don't really have a solid place for an entry. There's no kind of clear-cut level or even clear-cut market structure either. I would want to see price start to create some higher highs and higher lows again, and that will allow me to find a trade somewhere. The lack of structure is kind of making it difficult to find a place for a solid entry. If we can start to put some higher highs and higher lows in, well, we can start to base a trade and start to base an entry from that market structure, and that will probably allow us to take it back to the highs there on the left. So pound yen still pretty bullish. I do think we can still push higher, but need some bullish structure to actually start to plot some buys and find some entries. Otherwise, I don't really see anything right now. I mean, the bias will be bullish, but just difficult to take a trade there. So in terms of US30, you said you're shorting it, Alan. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on US30, but to be honest, we are coming to like an area of supply resistance there, so I can understand looking to short from this area. The market did also put a lower high in there. This could be another one. I could very much argue that the market's kind of just squeezing in this wedge pattern with those lower highs and higher lows here. So there is a kind of trend line there at play. But because of my longer term expectations for US30, which is a push back to the all-time high, and same for NAS and same for the S&P, I do expect us to break to the upside here, which is why I would avoid looking to sell. Again, if you're looking for more of a short-term sell, you can definitely get away with that. But in terms of like a big swing trade, I'll kind of just stay with the buys for now. So in terms of a good bullish setup, I would wait for price to break the highs here. So kind of get rid of this wedge pattern. And then, of course, that should provide some nice opportunities on a pullback for us to continue higher. So very, very bullish on US30. Like I said, I understand that price is trading at resistance. We're respecting it pretty well. Potentially might sell back to the low end of the channel. So that could be a nice trade to take advantage of there. But that's about it. I wouldn't really try and push further than that, especially when we've got some areas of demand, support. We could probably find some buys, and that could be the area that does send us to the upside. So be careful of that with shorting US30. But in terms of what I would be looking for, would definitely be a breaking retest, something like that. In terms of I'll go through NAS quickly because I'm on the topic, then I'll take a look at pound NZD. So in terms of NAS, very bullish on this one as well. Of course, this one's approaching resistance too, so I wouldn't, unless you're in the lower time frames, like 5-minute chart, I wouldn't be looking to buy this because, of course, we're at resistance. That's a bit of a no-go. We did break through resistance here very well at the start of the week, and that would be a lovely place to see price come back and retest and possibly continue. Again, on the higher time frames, I do think NAS is just making its way back to the all-time high. We're very, very close to it now as well, so I think we're pretty much almost guaranteed for us to see price hit the all-time high very, very soonish. So if you can find a pullback somewhere, I think that's the best opportunity to trade NAS rather than try and call some tops or take advantage of some minor pullbacks. I think you just focus on the longs. You put yourself in a good position to withdraw some profit here from the NAS. But really nice area there. And again, of course, if this was to break, this would become a nice area for a buy too. You can see clearly price is struggling at this area. So if it does break, should act as support pretty well. And then yeah, onwards and upwards for NAS 100. So again, not the best place for a buy because we're coming to resistance. I do expect us to break through, but at the same time, we might not. So I'm always waiting for price to give me the green light with the breakout. Then we can look to follow it. And if we do reject it and come back down, well, we can look at this level here at 21,500. That looks like a really nice level for a buy as well. Kind of lines up with this trend line here too. So that's also something to think about. But yeah, NAS 100, very bullish as well. In terms of pound NZD, pretty bearish on this one. I do think price is eventually going to return back to support here. I do think price is actually likely to break through support, to be honest. The way I see it on higher time frames, it kind of looks like a big head and shoulder pattern. So you got the left shoulder over there, you got the head over there, and there's your right shoulder. If I just drag that resistance across, you can see respected it very well once and twice. So pound NZD giving me very strong head and shoulder vibes here. And if that is the case, and this is the right shoulder, well, you expect us to push back into the neckline, which kind of takes us back into support here. Then I would expect us to break through that level as well. So as a whole, pound NZD to me, very bearish market. I like the way we also respected resistance yesterday because this was a pretty big level on the 4-hour chart. A lot of support here, once, twice, third time, fourth, fifth. Price then rallied, retested it very well. I like the wick to the upside. We saw momentum come in, and now looks like price is just on a bearish trajectory here. So in my book, pound NZD is likely to fall. In terms of opportunities to trade it, again, ideally, you want to be at that zone there for a short. If we might, we might push back up again, so don't rule that out because we might push back up, form a double top. So, shorting at this level could still be a possibility. If not, then maybe you're looking at the retest of that low there. Yeah, I think that's the best you'll find there for pound NZD. But in terms of direction, I would assume a push back into support there, 2.22, and new lows past that point as well. So pound NZD, I would be very, very bearish on. DT, NFP is making. Won't show result tomorrow. I mean, it depends what pair you're trading on as well. Are you trading USD pairs, DT? Because we are seeing some movement. Some of the crosses are moving. Some C-share pairs are moving. Yen pairs have moved quite a lot, but they've been a bit back and forth anyway. But we have seen movement this week. USD pairs not so much though. I mean, euros rallied a little bit. Pounds rallied a little bit. Dollar CAD, a decent move yesterday as well. But yeah, of course, the market does tend to kind of dry up a little bit, gets ready for NFP, and that's when it gives you the big move. And again, you have to trade around that. As a trader, NFP is a part of trading. You can either avoid it, not look to trade before it, kind of stay out of the market, wait for it to happen, wait for the dust to settle, and then get involved. Or you can kind of be the more kind of nonchalant, kind of just trades around it, trades with it, which is kind of the situation or the approach I take. Especially as a more of a swing trader, if you're trying to always get out of the way of news, then you probably end up just always exiting position early because there's news every week. So if you're going to enter and exit your trades because of news, then you're going to be in and out pretty quickly, not allow the big winners to play out, which could take a few days or even a couple of weeks or even longer to play out. So you got to be able to stomach some news events. Of course, you want to manage your risk. That's the most important thing. If you're over leveraged, then you want to do something about that. But if your risk is managed, you should be okay to withstand even an NFP. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what NFP has in store for us tomorrow. Also waiting to short dollar yen. Okay, we'll take a look. I mean, still roughly trading at support. I do expect it to break, but in terms of shorting it, that's the difficult bit because I'm not really seeing clear-cut opportunities right now. Dark Sean, what's up? Good morning, hope you're well, Dax. Okay. Okay, looking for a retest to take a short. Okay, so you're looking for price to top out a little bit. But of course, I know you're trading like on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, we'll take a look at the DAX in a second. So with dollar yen, let me just get rid of this. This is a 15-minute analysis. In terms of the full hour, I mean, I'm expecting price to return here, 140. Last week, solid rejection of this level here, I must say. Beautiful kind of head and shoulder pattern, left head, right shoulder. You know, price came into that level very, very well, reacted very well, and gave us a lovely rejection. Now price is trading back at support, so it's kind of like, okay, what's the next move here? Because we are kind of consolidating. I do expect us to break through the support level, of course, get to that area, but we might consolidate for a bit. We might even rally back into resistance first, and in fact that's kind of the best place I can see for a sell, other than this opportunity here, which would just simply be the break retest of the support level. Then of course looking to trade that range back into the low. So dollar yen shorts, I do like the look of. I do think we're likely to keep falling. Again, USD I'm pretty bearish on, so I do expect that to be a driving force. We'll see what happens with the yen. That's been a bit of a mixed bag the past few days. We'll take a look at that in a second. But I do think dollar yen can, you know, still likely fall. But of course, we do have support to crack. And I think when that cracks, we should see momentum really pick up and a push back into 140. Because essentially, I'm just looking at this trend continuing. And there's no signs of it reversing. So I think the logic does lie with trend continuing there until we see some signs that it won't. So shorts and dollar yen, I do agree. Just I would wait for that support level to break at 142.5. And then some retest opportunities afterwards. But in terms of the yen pairs, it has been a bit of a mixed bag. If I go to the yen basket, this one was looking very bullish yesterday, and then has seen a bit of bearish momentum this morning. And again, I'm not a fan of the market structure or how price is moving, because we are becoming quite flat here. We are becoming quite flat. And again, since we are, that does lead me to believe that soon enough, there will probably be a big breakout to the upside. But since we're still failing at highs, I still do fancy one more push down, back into lows, and then maybe from there we do turn around. So yeah, with the yen, I'm not overly confident with the bias. I'm quite confident with my USD bias, but not so much with the yen. I do expect us to break higher, but I'm not really seeing an opportunity for that just yet. And because we're still just about respecting the highs, the lower highs, I do think a sell is likely. So looking at pairs like Euro yen I'm still looking to short, but I do want to see a drive back to the high first. That's kind of the area which does make sense for a short there. So I'll keep an eye on that. Pound yen, I'm still kind of looking to short as well. I know I'm not interested in terms of following the trend. I do think we'll probably push back to the high at least. But I don't really have a good setup. I was speaking about the breaking retest of this low at the start of the week, but it looks like we're pretty far away from doing that at the moment. So yeah, in regards to pound yen, I think in terms of my personal trading, I'll leave it alone for now. Euro yen, I do like. So if I do see a rally back to resistance, that will entice me for some shorts. Other yen pairs, CAD yen, not a big fan of, to be honest. Very, very choppy stuff. And for the most part, I think that's just basically a range. Again, I do think we can break higher with this one. So that would be my bias, but not strong enough for me to go and look to trade and try and find some entries to get involved. DMAR, I'm on a buy. Okay, you're buying dollar yen to 145. Okay. In a Interesting position there, 145. That's roughly the level, or roughly below us. So maybe you're focusing a bit more on that resistance level. So yeah, in terms of dollar yen, I don't mind the buys. It makes sense because essentially you're buying from support. I'd imagine that you're probably buying somewhere down at these lows. Maybe you got a stop loss below the low there. So it does make sense because of course price is trading at support and we're likely to bounce there. But at the same time, I am factoring in the direction of how price has been moving for the past few weeks, few months, and it has been a very comfortable downtrend. So by default, I do expect it to continue, and until I see strong signs of reversal, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to try and take any swing buy opportunity. Short term, of course, you can get away with, but in terms of holding it, over a couple of days, any longer than that, it's always going to be a bit difficult because you're going against momentum. Counter trend trades can be very good trades because you do position yourself very well, and if the counter trend does turn into an actual trend, a new trend, well, you're positioned very well to take advantage of that. So counter trend opportunities are definitely something I look to trade, but I'm always quite conservative in terms of the way I manage the trade. So if price is going to show me some rejection pretty early on, I will look to just get out of the position rather than give it room to play out. If I was pro trend, well, I would tend to give it room because I understand that the trend is likely to continue at some stage. So I want to kind of make sure I'm not being overly watchful of that position. But solid support, nice rejection. If we do continue 145, you're not asking too much from the market. But as I said, I do think we're likely to break through the support level. So that's where my buy stands for now. And again, I could be completely wrong on that. But I do feel like, especially with the USD weakness coming into play as well, that we probably will see dollar yen slip to the downside. And for the most part, all the USD pairs, I do expect more downside. So dollar CAD, I'm looking for that to fall. And that is still falling in fairness. Dollar CHF, even though I am pretty bullish on the CHF pairs, I'm not quite convinced about dollar CHF, to be honest. I'm expecting to see weakness, in the CHF, but I'm also expecting to see weakness in the USD. So it just depends who's going to be the weaker currency here. At the moment, USD is looking the more weaker of the two. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does develop, because we haven't really seen the CHF weakness I have been looking for. It looks like CHF is starting to become a bit weaker, but not entirely just yet. But dollar CHF, another pair which I do think, again, trading at support, but likely to break to the downside and eventually push back into the lows. Of course, I've spoken a few times about Euro, expecting that to rally higher. Of course, pound USD, expecting that to rally higher as well. Aussie dollar, expecting that to rally higher too. And New Zealand dollar, very bullish on that one too. So as a whole, USD pairs for me, all pointing in the same direction. So that's the only direction I want to trade in, especially with a swing bias. I wouldn't try and entertain any kind of short-term sells until I see clear signs from those pairs that they turn around. Which leads me into my watch list for the remainder of the week. It's already Thursday, week's flown by. Actually, I do have an announcement to make. I will be going live on Twitter this afternoon. Probably post the link to, well, it's not really live on tweet. It's not really live. It's well, it is live, but it's the audio version. I don't know what it's called, but the audio version on Twitter, discussing prop firms, the future of prop firms, how AI can help traders. It does tie into the project I've been working on for the past few months with my team. So I'm very excited to get that out to you guys, and I will be talking with some other people and explaining what the future holds, because it's very interesting. There's a lot going on. And of course, it will affect us retail traders. And I'm looking at how we can bridge the gap between retail and institutional, not necessarily to become an institutional trader, but how can we be more advanced and use different tools to kind of leveling up the playing field. So look out for that. That will be live, I think 6 p.m. UK time. I will again put the link to it in the Telegram. So make sure you check that out. Links in the description. But in terms of the watch list, so for the remainder of the week, I'll continue to manage Aussie Chef. Not break even yet, so that's the only thing I'm really managing at this point. There's nothing else for me to do apart from just wait to see if we can take up the highs. If we do, remove risk, then we'll go from there, and I'll probably just start trading along the way. In terms of some of the other pairs I'm looking at, well, yeah, that's it for the CHF. In terms of USD pairs, at this moment in time, probably just dollar CAD if we can pull back into that zone, or dollar CAD buys. I will probably start to entertain this when we come back into this level. It depends what I'm looking at for the USD as well. If I'm still very if I'm still very bearish on the USD, then I probably will give that buy opportunity a rest. By the way, it's this zone, just in case you're wondering what zone I'm buying from. It's this, just the consolidation to our left on the daily, weekly chart, because I do expect to see some type of bounce there. But yeah, waiting for price to get there. Just my name, Miko Audu, Mikoaodu. It might be linked in the description. I can't remember if it's there. If not, yeah, just search my name, Mikoaodu. The same as my the same as my YouTube handle. So yeah, in terms of dollar CAD, keep an eye on the sells, but I wouldn't mind the buys. But I'll see what's happening with USD before I kind of put that bias out there. Gold, I like the buys still. I probably would drop to the hourly chart to trade this one. It doesn't look like we'll get this opportunity now, so the focus is now going to be this opportunity here on the breaking retest of 33.90. That's now what my focus is going to have to be. I do think we'll likely see the breakout. Looks like momentum is picking up as well. So hopefully we can find a retest there. And then, of course, these are the targets for gold. Silver, I like the look of silver now. I've been very critical of the price action for silver whilst being in the range. But again, when you are in a ranging market, things might be doom and gloom whilst you're in the range. But always remember, the range normally is going to give you a sharp breakout with momentum, of course, depending on the pair. Silver is giving us a fantastic breakout and really nice opportunities on some pullbacks. So silver's looking very good now. Okay, found it. Great. So yeah, check it out, guys. Just Miko Audu. I'll share that as well on the Twitter page, but I'll put a link in the Telegram to the stream. But yeah, silver retest looked really good as well. We broke it through 35, so now the market's quite bullish now. But I just expect a bit of a trend and a massive breakout on the higher time frames to kind of unfold. I had a quick look at platinum. Someone was trading platinum yesterday. I can't remember who, but I remember I was looking at platinum and we were talking about platinum together. And I said, if price can break through this, it looks like you're in the money for platinum, because I feel like a big breakout is on the cards. And if silver's going to go for a big breakout, I think platinum can join the party as well. We might see a swing all the way back to 1294, 1300 basically. So platinum looking very good. Looks like metals are loving life at the moment. And again, that's provided a nice opportunity again for additional entries on a retest. So onwards and upwards for the metals. I don't trade platinum myself, but I just wanted to point that out because silver and gold are looking pretty good as well. In terms of the JPY pairs, Euro Yen, I like the shorts on that one. So yeah, we're going to wait to see how that one develops. But Shorts around 165 is something I'll pay close attention to, and hopefully you can swing it back into the lows there, but probably still a few days away from that opportunity forming, so I highly doubt I get that trade before the end of the week. And we do have euro interest rates later as well, so that'll be interesting to see how that impacts euro. New Zealand CAD buys, also waiting for a long on this one, but yeah, I'm just waiting to see if we can get there, because it's been very, very flat. And I've been keeping an eye on this one for over a month now, and it's testing my patience. I think we can leave it to that. But in terms of the bias, still expecting a new high past this point, so I'm expecting a pretty big bullish swing. But in terms of finding entries for the trade, which is of course the most important thing, this is kind of where I want to be entering and putting a stop loss below. So that's where I'm waiting for price to push into. Then hopefully we can talk about some buys afterwards. And that's probably about it, to be honest. Maybe if I can get Aussie CHF to break even, I might be able to get involved with Aussie CAD, because I like the buys here for Aussie CAD too. We come back into a very big level. On the daily chart, the swing low here, you can see price respecting it pretty well. Kind of looking for some type of double bottom here. And that could present a nice buy opportunity there, but I need Aussie CHF to get to break even, because I don't want to double down on the Aussie. If Aussie does become weak, both of those positions potentially fail. But if I can get Aussie CHF to break even, and this then sets up, then sure, I'll give this one a go and swing it back to the highs there as well. So that's roughly what the wash list is looking like going into the end of the week, and a bit of next week as well, actually. Yusuf. What do you mean I was looking for it to cross over the level? But again, trading is always is about balance. If you want to get the best possible risk reward, well, you're going to take more losses. It's as simple as that. If you want to get the best possible risk reward, so the tightest entry of the tightest stop loss to maximize the win of that trade, well, the side effect of that is that you're going to take a lot more losses, because your margin for error is now very, very small. If you're going to have a bigger stop loss, your margin for error is a lot greater. You're going to have more wins, but of course you won't have as big of a risk to reward, because of course your stop loss is bigger. In terms of how I enter the market, I use candlestick patterns, which doesn't necessarily optimize risk to reward. Like for Aussie CHF, I mean, the risk to reward is still decent, to be honest. The swing back to the high here would still get me a 1 to 3, which is still a great return on a position. But you can see there is a decent size there with the stop loss. It's not potentially optimal. I haven't got an entry that looks like this. Of course, if that plays out, you're looking at 1 to 13, so you change the game completely. 1 to 3 becomes a 1 to 13. It's the same opportunity. All I have to do is just buy a lot earlier. And the simple way to do that is just scale to a lower time frame, because I use the 4 hour here to enter. If I scale to like the 15 or the 5 minute, look for entries in this area, well, I would get the same entry. But the thing is, with the 15 and 5 minute, because I'm still looking to try and take advantage of the same swing, but because I'm entering on such a low time frame, I'm going to get a lot of signals. I'm going to get a lot of entry signals, a lot of trading opportunities, and there will be a lot of failed trades. I might take 3, 4, 5 losers before I do take a winner. Of course, the winner, you would expect it to pay off. If it's a 1 to 13, you could take 10 losers, and 1 to 13 will still leave you in profit. But then again, who wants to take 10 losers just to take the win there? I might as well give myself a bit more room, keep myself less stressed out, and just take the the realistic 1 to 3, which again is still a great risk to reward. So I wouldn't advise trying to go for the best possible risk to reward, because you're going to go down a slippery slope of trying to get the best entry, and there is no such thing as the best entry. You could always enter a better position. There's no such thing as best entry. What you should be looking for is a good entry, which makes sense and puts probability in your favor. Find a good entry, of course, with a decent risk to reward, and that's what your focus should be. If you're trying to get the best possible RR, you will take a lot of unnecessary losses, which not going to do well for your mindset. It's going to be a lot difficult. You're going to experience a lot more drawdown as well. The lower your win rate, the more drawdown you're going to occur. So there's a lot to think about. But if you want to increase your risk to reward, just scale down to a lower time frame. Instead of using the 15-minute, use the 5. You're still taking advantage of the same move, but now your risk is even smaller. What's up, CS Integrated? Hope you're well. Welcome, welcome. Oh, looking for it to go back up across the level and stop loss would be large. Yeah, I mean, that's just the situation of the trade. Because you need it to get back above the level. Because if it doesn't, it could use the level as resistance and push back down again. So it's a must that it does get back above the level. And again, not every trade is going to give you the best risk to reward, especially when you've got a flexible risk to reward. Things are going to change. Some setups will give you a really good risk to reward. You get 1 to 5, 1 to 6, maybe even more than that. And then, of course, some risk to rewards, it might just be a 1 to 1. And again, there's nothing wrong with a 1 to 1 either, from time to time. You do, of course, want to keep your reward slightly greater than your risk, but if a 1 to 1 does come along from now and again, I wouldn't say such a bad idea to take those positions, of course, as long as the trade is looking like a quality setup. So, in that situation, annoyingly, the risk reward would be sabotaged by waiting for a price to get back above the level, but there's always another opportunity on the way, which will give you probably a better risk reward. And that's just the reality of trading. Some trades would just be not giving you optimal RR. And like I said, trying to get the optimal RR would just give you more losses. Gold is rocketing. Okay, let's take a look. Yep, gold is looking very bullish. Just cleared the highs there. So yeah, with gold looking bullish, it looks like we'll probably get a break of resistance. We still got a lot to do to break the resistance, in fairness. But I would expect it to happen. But yeah, gold's looking very bullish. Silver's looking very, very bullish. Silver's absolutely flying. That's the one that's really setting pace, and platinum as well. I mean, I haven't looked at some other metals, but those two I've looked at, and they look very, very bullish there. So silver's doing the job very, very well. But I expect gold to catch up. So yeah, I strongly suggest keep an eye on the break and retest of that level. And there could be some nice opportunities on a retest. The CS integrated. Okay, nice. Mid to long term stocks. Hope they're going well. I mean, indices are back up again. Things are looking a little bit brighter. So hopefully there should be some nice gains recently. That's, of course, if you're investing in the big boys. No problem, Yusuf. I mean, again, good question, because you always want to kind of maximize your risk reward, but again, some trades, the risk reward is just not optimal for what you're looking for, because of course you can always enter a trade earlier. Yeah, you can always enter a trade earlier. My trade was a CHF. I could have entered a lot earlier, but me doing that, I probably would have taken 2-3 losses. So even if I delete that, oh no, this is Oanda. So if I could take 2-3 losses and then maybe I do capitalize a nice 1 to 6 potentially. But mine's the 2-3 losses I took earlier. I probably only walk away for like a 3R, maybe a 4R. And this trade here, if it does play out, I walk away for 3R anyway. So the trade-off might just be the same. And that's, of course, where your back testing comes in, and you can kind of optimize things. Because, again, looking for a better entry is a good thing. You want to maximize risk reward. But you got to do that within reason. DMAR, buy on GJ. Okay, let's have a look. $193.6. $195.8. Basically at the highs. Are you looking for that buy or are you in that buy? I mean, regardless, kind of similar situation. If you're already in the buy, great. If you're looking to enter there, then you probably would have a similar stop loss underneath that low anyway. So yeah, I mean, if you're in the buy, I think it looks good. Momentum's picked up in your favor very, very well. I would just be looking to manage that in terms of gauging momentum. There might be a bit of noise as we do come back into this area, and you probably would expect that. Might potentially slow down or see a bit of a drop. But I do agree. I do think price can push higher. I am looking for pound yen to get back into the highs over here, 196.19. So I do think more upside is likely. Yeah, I think this is the only kind of area where things can get tricky because, of course, nothing's guaranteed. And if price does stall here, it could potentially drop against you and turn things around. But I think that's the only area to kind of consult with. No opportunities came. Again, not every week's going to give you an opportunity. And just because no opportunities come, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad week. Of course, you want to take positions, you want to get into trades, you want to make a profit, of course. But to be honest, I think it's definitely a positive if you can go a whole week without taking a position because there's no trade there. I think that shows a lot of discipline, a lot of patience, and a lot of confidence in terms of what you're looking to trade. So I would view that as a very positive, for what it is, a very positive situation, because it says a lot about you as a trader, because many people, of course, no matter what system you trade, there will be times where there are no setups or very low quality setups. And regardless of there's no setups or low quality setups, a lot of people just trade anyway. So the fact that you can identify, okay, now's not the best time to be trading, let me stay out the market, let me not force anything. I think that's a very, very mature attribute as a trader, and does put you in the right direction because when there is good trades, you're there to take them. But yeah, not every week will provide opportunities. I mean, I'm only in one position this week. Nothing else is really set up. I mean, Euro Aussie did, but it was at the same time, the same sort of trade idea. So only those two pairs have set up for me. But yeah, since you're not in the position, DMAR, if you're looking for price to get back there, then of course you probably have a similar stop loss underneath the low as well, probably, or maybe underneath that area. Depends how you enter, but personally, I would try and get the stop loss there. I mean, I can see price, of course, reacting to demand here, and this is kind of like a new area of demand. Maybe not the strongest one, but it looks like we're starting to creep up. But yeah, I do expect us to get back to the highs. So buys I do like. Personally, I probably would prefer to see price test the support area, but that's because I mainly focus on support anyway. But yeah, I am bullish. I do think pricing continue. Will we see the move back down? Again, potentially we may not. That's just trading. You're waiting for price to come to you rather than the other way around. There might be opportunities later on as well. If we don't, there might be some pullbacks to look at. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish on pound yen. I expect us to get to that 195.8 area and surpass it as well. Ahmed, quick look at BTC. Okay, we'll have a look. Cease integrated. Okay, nice. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Waiting for NFP to do its thing. Yeah, we have been a little bit choppy on some USD pairs. Euro's been quite flat, Aussie's been flat, and the USD's been flat. There's been some slight trends, but nothing substantial. And of course, DXY is kind of ranging a little bit at this level too. I do think DXY is likely to break through, and that's not necessarily from my lower time frame bias. It's more so because I'm expecting this trend to continue, which is why I've been pretty bearish on the dollar. So I do expect to see price drop, but yeah, this is kind of what I'm looking for, which might take, yeah, probably will happen after NFP anyway. I don't think we'll get the breaking me test before NFP, so waiting for the dust to settle is definitely not a bad idea. In terms of BTC, so Bitcoin, not looking too great, I must add. Not looking too great. I'm still looking at a push lower from Bitcoin, mainly because of how corrective this up move has been. Yeah, I do think Bitcoin is likely still to push lower. I'm looking at this support level to our left, where price potentially can push into. We're starting forming some lower highs here, and especially due to the fact that we are selling off from the prior all-time highs, this is pretty significant for Bitcoin. Yeah, I would expect a lot more momentum here. I would expect stronger candlesticks. I would expect price to rip through highs and not slowly bleed lower. I think this is a bit of a red flag, not gonna lie, for Bitcoin, and it could present potentially a bit of a sell-off for BTC, so I do worry about that. But yeah, for now, Bitcoin, I do like the short still, very corrective on the way up, so it does lead me to believe that the bigger move is probably going to be a push down. But of course, in terms of actually shorting the market, now is not really the time for that as we do approach the lows here. So I would want to see price drive up, test resistance, find a nice double top, and then give you the opportunity to sell it. And yeah, a push at least back to the low here, of course, but then I would expect 102k. And then from there, we can discuss some buys. Maybe you do find support and push up. But if you go and break through that as well, yeah, I think Bitcoin has a lot more downside to give us at that point. So it's not looking too good. Keep an eye on 107. I think if we rally through that strongly, I'll change my mind, because that'll be a sort of similar situation to what gold is doing in terms of, we've got a nice descending channel here. If price, of course, breaks the channel to the upside like this, well, that's, of course, a very bullish signal. And then I would expect something like that to follow afterwards and a push back to the high. So that's the way I would turn bullish again for BTC. Seeing some strength coming to the market, then we can talk about some pullbacks and continuations. But for the most part, not really seeing that. So a push lower is kind of my take on that. Let me have a quick look at Ethereum whilst we're on the topic. Okay, Ethereum just kind of consolidating right now. Yeah, I mean, Ethereum as well. I feel like there's a bit of a drop to be had with Ethereum as well. I mean, we are consolidating, so technically it's kind of 50-50 which way we go. But just looking at the overall structure, the fact that we've had kind of like a triple top over there, we broke the lows there. I kind of would expect that to happen really with Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what I expect to happen, because either way, I wouldn't really look for anything until we get the solid break to the downside or to the upside. Because, of course, if price does break to the upside, well, that presents some nice buying opportunities to follow. And it doesn't really matter if I had that bearish bias, because that would be a good trade. Likewise, to the downside, if we do break to the downside, well, great. Then we can talk about some retests and some shorts. But yeah, in terms of the larger structure, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence that Ethereum is still likely to trend lower, to trend higher. So yeah, Ethereum, I think I would be leaning towards the bearish side of things as well. So maybe it's not looking particularly great for the world of crypto at the moment. Of course, the overall trajectory, still expecting a lot more upside, but of course, it's not going to just be, one straight line to the upside. There's going to be sell-offs, there's going to be cycles, as with every market and everything to have ever existed. Potentially, we might be starting to come into a bit of a bearish cycle. How big, how long, only time will tell. What's up, Lorda? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. I completely forgot about the DAX. Apologies, Darkshon. Completely forgot about that one. What was your message earlier? Yeah, you said that ages ago, 10:30. Okay, just shy of a new all-time high, waiting for a retest to short. Okay, so let's have a look. So yeah, we are just shy. Ooh, we did just about see a new all-time high, didn't we? Just about. But anyway, you're looking to short this one. So I'm guessing you're kind of anticipating, okay, we've created a new all-time high. Market still looks pretty tired. We probably will go for a bit of a sell. And I do agree, even from a 4-hour chart, I know you're trading on the 5-minute, but even from a 4-hour time frame, things are still very fatigued here. I would kind of map this out as like a big ascending channel. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a move like this happen at some point. I do expect it to happen at some point. We could still rally a little bit higher. We could still go for another wave, of course, but I would expect that to be the bigger move now for the DAX, especially the fact that we swept these highs a long time ago. As you think a bigger correction is on the way. And of course, at the moment in time, we're now trading at the high there. So by default, it's a nice place for a short. So how are you trying to look to interpret this one then? How are you looking to get involved? Are you just going to short at the high, or are you waiting for price to potentially turn around to short? Especially in the 5-minute, I would say it's a bit more difficult because you got that 5-minute trend to deal with. But then again, it allows you to be kind of in and out a bit quicker because you might catch a nice short. If momentum does start to change against you, you can look to exit a position pretty quickly. So yeah, in terms of the 5-minute, if I had to try and get involved, I probably would try and be a bit aggressive, trying to short up the highs there. We had an initial rejection there. Now let's see what we can do a second time. If I do see a good rejection, healthy wicks, maybe a strong shift in momentum, that could be enough there to trigger me into the trade. But again, I would be a bit cautious because I'm essentially trying to call the top here, which is obviously an aggressive play, especially on an indice, and especially in this bullish climate as well. So it's definitely a solid place for a short, but an aggressive one. So be careful with that. But if it does reject well and it is a successful double top, this could really plummet, to be honest. So I expect at least to push back into this range. Of course, I expect price to break a lot lower. I expect price to take out all these lows pretty much, but I probably wouldn't be looking to try and hold onto the trade for that long, especially on the 5-minute chart, but at least to push back into this range. So yeah, would be a bit more of an aggressive idea, but I do agree that we'll probably like to see a sell. Locks gold all the way. A lot of people talking about gold today. I mean, rightly so, it's looking pretty bullish. Darkshon. Okay. Wait for good rejection now, of course. Expecting it to reject at 24 for 20, 24 for 40. Okay, so that'll be around Okay, so how come those specific prices or that range? Because of course this is all-time highs. Price has never been there before, so it's not like you're looking to the left to try and find support and resistance, because there isn't any. So how come you're looking to short those areas? Is it from your indicator? I think you actually had a similar setup a while ago. I think you mentioned your indicator. Or am I making things up? But yeah, I do agree. I do think we can go for a bit of a retracement. But again, the move I'm looking for in the higher time frames is a much bigger sell, because I do think price is tight. But then again, in terms of the bigger sell, I would be a bit wary of that, because with the DAX, it does kind of move quite similar to the S&P, US 30. And for now, I do think these guys can still push higher. So if these still do trend higher, well, then I probably wouldn't expect the big sell-off for the DAX just yet, unless something happens in isolation. But I wouldn't expect the DAX to completely sell off if these are all pushing strongly as well, because typically they will normally kind of move together. But yeah, US 30, I still do expect to see a break to the upside. S&P, I still do expect to see a push to the upside as well. Of course, back to the all-time high on our left there at 61.37. And of course, we're coming to some resistance now, but I'm expecting that to break. And of course, that should leave us some really nice opportunities for a break and retest and to continue back to highs. And then of course, you got your lovely NAS 100 as well, which I would expect price to continue back to highs as well. And we're not too far. This is actually the closest one. So as a whole, looking very, very good. I do think a lot more upside is very, very likely there. So yeah, indices still very bullish. DAX, I am bullish, but I do think a correction is likely to happen with that one. But I will keep an eye on some of the other indices, because they will kind of set the tone. Yusuf, pound USD to reach 1.35921. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Okay, last time we broke the high across 50 pips and then reversed. Expecting something similar to happen again. Nice spot that. Yeah, nice spot. Kind of anticipating the bit of the fake out and then a reversal. And of course, your candlestick patterns is what's going to help guide you in that position, of course, because I bet you probably wouldn't want to short blindly into that. But of course, if you can accompany that with rejection, healthy signs with candlestick patterns, well, that of course will support the idea. Okay, yeah, of course. Either way, I get good confirmation, yeah, before you do take the trade, of course. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that as well. Do you have any particular targets for that one, Dark Sean? For that short idea, is it something you're just going to short and see how it goes, or is there a certain level you're aiming for? But yeah, I'll take a look at the pound USD idea. So yeah, pound looking very bullish at the moment. Looks like the high is likely to go. Yusuf, you asked, is pound likely to push? Likely to reach 1.35921. So around there, basically, the same high there. Yeah, I would expect so. I would expect so. That's the prior swing high. market is bullish not only on the hourly chart, not only on the 4-hour, the daily, the weekly, arguably the monthly, but the major time frames are pointing up. All time frames are pointing up. So momentum is very much with the buyers. So in terms of us not getting there, I would say that's very unlikely for us not to do that. There's a very high chance we do see price go and take out those highs. For us to suddenly turn around, it's going to take a dramatic turn of events. So the likelihood of price reaching that high, 1.35921, is very, very high, especially when you got that synchronicity between all the major time frames. The likelihood of us continuing is just pretty great. So yeah, I do agree with that. I think price is likely to get there. Had an entry at 1.355, so that'll take you to around here-ish. So yeah, that's looking really nice. That's looking very, very nice. Really nice entry. And target makes a load of sense as well. Back to the swing high. Very straightforward, keeping things very, very simple. No need to overcomplicate things. You know, just following market structure can be a great guide in terms of finding entries, finding targets as well. And it looks like pound is probably, I mean, it's pushing up very aggressively right now. Is pound very strong, as USD tanking? USD is dropping a little bit there. How are other pound pairs doing? Pound CAD. Okay, pound is pushing up. It might be a mixture of both, pound being strong and USD being weak. But yeah, for the most part, it does look like pound is strong as well. But yeah, definitely USD is selling off. But yeah, pound is looking pretty strong there. Okay, looking for the typical 100, 200 pips. Nice. What's up, Tony Gold? My man, hope you're well. Grand Rising, what is up? Yeah, go gold. Gold looks like it's setting the pace now. Very, very interesting stuff. Silver, I think silver's the real MVP. Silver's making gold look like a newbie. But yeah, we're seeing some momentum for gold. So gold's looking very, very tasty right now. And this opportunity didn't come around, unfortunately. So chalk it to the game. We missed out on that one. But on the flip side, a new opportunity does come around. And a retest of the high just looks as good right now. I've marked out the two key highs for gold on the 4-hour chart. So you've got 34.34 and you've got 34.94. So those are the next two major targets now for gold. But we smashed through the channel there. That set the tone for me. Now we're seeing higher highs and higher lows. Momentum's picking up. I'm not seeing any kind of signs of bearish momentum coming into the market. We had a miniature sell over there, but you can see left behind a big wick. Found support very well. And now we're breaking the highs. So onwards and upwards for gold. Onwards and upwards. And again, you just have to judge the overall climate of the market. Look how bullish everything is. You know, that's why I've remained bullish on gold, because there's no major sign of reversal. The trend is still so strong. I know recently we've been kind of selling off a bit, putting some low highs in, but nothing's really changed in terms of the major structure. And yeah, gold is just continuing. So hopefully get a retest of the high now. That's the next best bet. Of course, silver looking pretty much the same idea, but silver's really done its thing there with that breakout. So 34.88 is looking pretty nice as well. Just again, biding my time, waiting for price to come to an appropriate level. Then hopefully find some entries off the back of that. And of course, platinum is doing its thing. I'll check out copper as well. See if it's kind of all metals. So platinum, love and life as well. And copper. Yeah, copper, love and life too. It looks like all metals are being very bullish right now. Looks like copper's on a one-way street back to the highs too, clearing resistance here. I mean, Daily candle hasn't closed yet, but I think just judging metals as a whole, unless this is a big collective fake out, I think the metals are kind of setting the tone for the summer, maybe, in terms of expecting upside for the next few days, few weeks, potentially few months. So yeah, very bullish stuff there. I think silver is probably the one I'm going to focus on the most, just because I think the risk reward is massive there. I also really like the breakout because it's clearing major resistance here. So 34.8 cleared. And I do expect to see price get to 40, the next big psychological level. I expect price to get back to the all-time high, which is just shy of 50. But 40 still our next kind of main target there. We smashed 30. That's done and dusted. 40's up next. And now we've seen the breakout. Hopefully we can see price go and attack the 40s. Again, that's still a long way away. So I'm not expecting it overnight. But if I can find some pullbacks along the way, I should be able to take advantage of some nice trading opportunities there. So quite eager for silver. Again, gold looks good as well, don't get me wrong, but I just like silver because I think there's more opportunity on silver. Gold's already at all-time highs, it's been smashing all-time highs for the past almost 2 years now, just back-to-back all-time highs. Silver hasn't hit all-time highs for whatever, a decade, I'm pretty sure. So I think silver's got a lot of catching up to do, which is why I expect aggressive momentum. I expect sharp moves, breakouts. So as a swing trader, if I can position myself on silver, especially without take profit, just let the market do its thing, trail behind it, who knows how big of a trade you can catch. The conditions do support it. So yeah, silver's the one I'll focus on, but yeah, don't get me wrong, gold looks good too, especially kind of like a nice intraday opportunity with the breakaway test here. I think that's a really solid idea as well. You got your first target there and your second target up there as well. And of course, this is all supported with DXY falling, which I do expect it to keep doing. Of course, we'll see what happens with NFP. That's its own kind of exclusive event. But in terms of the technical analysis for the dollar, not seeing any signs of reversal. We do have a current pretty bearish trend on our hands right now, which simply just looks like it's going to continue. We've had some bullish moves here and there, but they haven't really done anything significant. All came back into structure, respected it well. So yeah, I do expect the dollar to keep selling off, to keep falling, and that should keep the metals driving higher as well. And again, understanding market structure kind of allows you to have that bias, because as I've said recently in streams, bias isn't necessarily so important, but consistency with your approach to a bias, consistency with everything in the market is very, very important. You could have a very average trading approach, very average trading strategy, but the consistency is what allows you to be profitable over time. Because as long as the edge is profitable, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's average or not. All you need is capital behind it and you're looking good. But the lack of consistency, the constant changing between strategies and approaches is kind of what does cripple a lot of traders. And in terms of a bias, just having consistency with a bias is good, because it kind of allows you to be focused and not so stressful in terms of what the market's going to do next, because essentially you never know. No matter how much information you have, the market can always do whatever it wants. But if you can have an approach which you're confident with, it allows you just to be focused with that. And for me, that's market structure, just following swing highs and swing lows. And it's not just as simple as that, because there's more to it. There's unique conditions, and structure can look complicated at sometimes. And of course, when structure does look complicated, I do want to kind of stay away, let the market breathe and do its thing. But for the most part, I'm mainly following the major swing points in the market. So the minor swing points, like these points here, I'm not really too focused on. I'm more focused on swing points like these, because then it allows me to capitalize on the bigger moves. And I would avoid focusing on these swing points. In fact, these are major swing points, but you would have to drop a couple time frames for them to become major swing points. But if I just focus on these major points here, especially in trending conditions, well, it just makes my life simpler. And again, just because structure's of course bearish as well, doesn't mean I won't go counter trend sometimes. In certain situations, I will go against the trend if I do believe that the market is likely to push. I mean, the current trade I'm in, Aussie CHF, is actually an exact situation of that, because the overall market structure is still down, the low lows and low highs are still down. The reason I have bought the market is because I'm going counter trend and expecting the market to reverse. So from a structural point of view, I would be bearish, and rightly so. But based on the situation, the fact that we're coming from all-time lows does make me bullish on the market. So I'm going against the bias, but the bias is still the same though. The concepts, the idea is still the same, which is the point I'm trying to draw home. Lauder, yes, I can. I do like the look of Euro Pound. Okay, short on that one. And looking to add a position to the market. Okay. From 0.84. Okay, let's have a look. Haven't looked at Euro Pound at all on today's stream. FH, yes, we'll take a look at dollar yen. So with Euro Pound, I mean, in fairness to Euro Pound, we have been a pretty consistent downtrend there. But of course, I've spoken about the buying opportunities as we approach this area, and we have seen a nice reaction of that. It does look like we're forming some type of head and shoulder pattern. We spoke briefly about this maybe a couple of days ago, with the left head and the right shoulder there, and of course this being the neckline of the pattern. It does look to me that price is now forming that pattern, and if we can clear support here at 0.84, that probably will take us back to the low. So Lauder, you said you're short from 0.842, which would be around here, and then you're looking for additional entries should the market allow. So yeah, I probably would say if we can crack support here, I would say that's one way the market could facilitate some additional entries, because of course now you've got resistance to your back, and the break of that support is a strong indication that we're probably going to keep selling. I would of course watch out as we do approach back to these lows, because this is of course where a lot of buying pressure came into the market. You can see the size and the aggressive nature of these candles, and of course just the nature of Euro Pound itself. It's a very choppy pair. It does tend to bounce around sometimes, and coming back into a strong area of demand where we did kind of set some pace there, I would probably advise on maybe locking in some gains there. Of course, I'm sure you got your approach. I'm sure you know what you're doing in terms of managing your trade and where your targets are, but I would make sure I keep a lookout on that area, at least just to see how price reacts with it, because if there's strong signals, strong rejections, could be a nice sign to perhaps lock in some gains. But yeah, in terms of adding trades to Euro Pound, I think the break of 0.6, 0.84, I don't know where 6 came from there. In terms of breaking support at 0.84, I think that's a very kind of realistic opportunity to add positions. But yeah, the lower high is still intact. I still do like the idea of a bounce here as well. So I'll see what price does there. There could actually be a nice buy setup on a double bottom. But for now, it does look like we'll probably see more downside. Dollar yen, okay. Okay, Trev's back in some dollar yen sells. Sage Trader. Okay, already wicked into 0.838. As in over here. So on the 28th of May, or as in today. Because 838 would be there. That's a big difference in price, I'm not going to lie. Earlier today, it might be like a weird gap. Sometimes you get weird situations like that, like a weird gap. At market close, yeah. So, yeah, sometimes you do get that when the daily candle opens and closes and reopens. Sometimes you will get those kind of weird gaps, which are specific to the brokerage. Sometimes I do get some weird gaps on IC markets as well. I think pretty every broker you probably have some weird gaps here and there. But it's a pretty big one. I can't lie though, because there's a big difference in price. But yeah, that is a pretty big difference. In terms of dollar yen, so yeah, dollar yen, I am a believer in the sell gang, I'm not gonna lie. I do think we can see more downside, but of course we do have some support to contend with right now. I don't really see an opportunity to short dollar yen, so kudos if you already are shorting. I mean, there was a really nice rejection back over there, but that's a couple of weeks ago now. Actually, no, that was last week, 29th of May. Was that last week? Yeah, that was last week. So yeah, nice rejection last week, and that's progressed quite well. I do expect to see dollar yen just naturally end up back at these lows anyway, so very bearish in dollar yen. But in terms of actually finding a trade entry, then I would have to wait for something like this to happen, which kind of mimics what I expect with the dollar as well. So I like the synchronicity between the two. Because if the dollar is going to break and retest, well, you probably see dollar yen do the same thing. So if the dollar can break through support here, we respected them on a few occasions now, retest it somehow, then you probably will see the swing back to the low, and dollar yen is pretty much giving us the same price action. Strong support, price breaks through, retest, back into the low there. So I like the kind of symmetry between the two, because of course you're shorting dollar if you're going to be shorting dollar yen. So yeah, I do expect the support to break, but of course that's not the case just yet, and I'm always the type of trader to wait for the break to believe in the breakout. Of course I might have a gut instinct that we probably will break support or resistance, but I'm not going to judge anything or do anything until it does break. And the same with dollar yen. At the moment we're still extremely flat until we get the breakout. Not much to go from. Excuse me. Okay. I mean, again, people will be looking to trade for different reasons, of course. If you focus on purely technicals, you're not really too concerned about the fundamentals. You're more concerned about the patterns and the behavior of price. And if there's an opportunity within that, well, you're looking to take that. Of course, if you're looking for a fundamental backing of a reason to trade euro pound, and of course, if there isn't one, when there's no trade setup there for you, everyone's got their different techniques, different confidences they pay pay attention to. There's not one shoe that fits all. But I mean, euro pound is a very choppy pair. It's definitely not my favorite pair to trade. Likewise with Aussie, New Zealand dollar, they can be quite similar at times. Euro and pound, of course, similar currencies. So they do tend to, euro pound is a bit more of a choppy pair. You can see with the nature of how it moves. occasionally there will be some nice setups, which is why I do keep an eye on it. Same with Aussie, New Zealand dollar. Can't remember the last time I did take a trade in that pair, but if a good setup does come around out of somewhere, I'll make sure I look to take it. Same with Euro Pound as well. Yeah, I mean, with Euro Pound, I think the best way to trade it is probably a bit more short-term outlook, not necessarily a long swing trade, because it has been very, very choppy and very flat for a number of years. I mean, pretty much the past decade, price action has been flat. So you're not really looking to try and hold and, trade this for the long term. It's more so, can I take a slice of the cake here and there? Because there are opportunities for that as price does zigzag back and forth, buy low, sell high. There will be opportunities for that. In terms of like a long-term trend or a long-term swing, unless you're kind of just looking to still buy low and sell high, that's the only kind of success you might find there for Euro Pound. Any type of trend, type of trade is always difficult in these conditions, and you're better off focusing elsewhere, to be honest. But yeah, a short-term trade like that back into the lows, I think makes a lot of sense. Not looking at anything too crazy. Momentum still with the bears. Probably will take us back into the low there. But again, the time horizon is not long-term either. Because of course, when you're probably looking at a bit more fundamental bias, you're probably looking at a slightly longer-term trade by default. Maybe a few days, potentially a few weeks. Technical traders can still look at a longer-term bias as well. It's more so for the here and now. Euro Pound sells are kind of for the here and now. Good morning, Opamipo. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. I'm doing good. Thanks. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like, by the way. It's been a while since I said that. Drop a like, does really help out. I do really appreciate it. It helps grow the channel, promotes the content. So if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, of course, and hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Please, do you have re-entry for Aussie CHF? It's the same as we discussed yesterday. In terms of if you are looking to jump into a buy, if price doesn't come back into support here and then gives another entry signal, well, the next best opportunity, I would say, would just be the breaking retest of that level there, 0.535. Because the anticipation with this trade is that we've got a bearish trend, which I'm looking for it to end. I'm looking for now a continuation back to the highs. So I'm expecting momentum to come into play. I'm expecting structure here to break and starting to see a bit of a bullish trend in the way up. So the next best opportunity would be trying to catch one of these higher lows. And I think there could be a good chance you can catch it on the retest of the zone. It does depend on how we break out and how things move. This is a hypothetical trade opportunity. As time goes on and we can see price develop, we'll get a better understanding of what is the best setup and where is the best place for a buy. But for now, I think that makes the most sense. Of course, unless we do push back into support, then it's just the same as before. Trying to buy at the low, looking for a strong rejection, stops below the low, and then hopefully capitalize on the swing. But if not, I would keep an eye on 0.535. I think that should give you the next best opportunity. Then yeah, targets back to the swing high, hopefully, and slightly further. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And slightly further as well, looking for that range there. Yusuf, thoughts on Euro? Okay, we'll take a look. Being in the shadows today. Always appreciate the content there. Appreciate it, Antonio. Thanks, my man. Another Antonio. Appreciate it. Time for the head to the gym. Good on ya. Push a couple sets for me as well. But yeah, have a good one at the gym. But yeah, still long Aussie CHF. Hopefully you can see some momentum. What news do we have today? We got Euro. I'll go for Euro USD in a second, Yusuf. Let me have a quick look at the news today. I know we got the ECB today, but I think we got some other dollar news, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so interest rates for Euro 115, so that's an hour, 19 minutes. I will be live again later today with Trader Nick, by the way. So do look out for that stream on his channel, of course. That'll be at 1:45 p.m. UK time. So in about an hour and 55 minutes from now. Okay, so we got jobless claims today, USD 130. So yeah, a bit of dollar and euro news. So probably not the best time to be trading Euro USD, especially on a intraday time frame, because you got USD and euro news right around the corner. So yeah, you're at risk a little bit there. But in terms of an analysis for euro, it is a expectation that we'll probably get back to the swing high to our left, which is 1.156, similar to pound USD, just seeing price get back to the high. In terms of opportunities, I have mentioned this buy. If we could see price push down into support, I think naturally that will be a nice opportunity for a long. If not, then we can be looking at the break and retest of the high here. Again, when we've got these trending conditions, you're just looking for opportunities to try and catch the next higher low or lower high. And places where that does make sense would be coming back into the low here again, or on the break and retest of the high. But as long as we maintain these higher lows, I just expect us to end up here eventually. So yeah, Euro USD analysis to me looks pretty straightforward. It's a little bit corrective. It would be nice if there was a bit more momentum. I would want to see a bit more momentum there with Euro, but the higher lows are the important thing, and they're still being obeyed. So I would expect Euro to keep pushing there and hopefully take us back to the highs. Jason, EuroCAD. Haven't looked too much at EuroCAD recently. It's been a bit of a flat one, hasn't it? Yeah, not the best conditions in the world. But again, we've got ECB coming up pretty soon. Interest rate decision for Euro, that could cause some movement. So hopefully we could be looking at something better. But yeah, EuroCAD is a pair which I do think is forming potentially a bit of a top. Coming back into some major highs here to the left. We've been trending since September 2022. So not only is the market a little bit stretched, we're coming to major resistance supply areas where I do think we can at least go through some type of pullback. I'm looking more so at this area, prior resistance, very big breakout, no retest as well. I think naturally price is still likely to come back and test that area. Of course, as I said, the market is just consolidating right now, so I would stay away from trying to do anything inside the range there. I think that's no man's land. But should we see a strong break to the downside, maybe we might get that today with the interest rates. There might be some nice pullback opportunities for a retest somewhere. And I think that could be a nice trade to take. We are looking pretty consistent with these lower highs. Perhaps we can get another one, and that could be our trade to take for a nice short, nice swing trade. Doesn't have to be specifically at this low, just basically looking for price to come back to retest the range and continue lower. And this low here could be a healthy target for the trade. So I'm bearish in EuroCAD. I don't see the trend continuing, most likely. I mean, if it does, if we do see a strong break to the upside, then the same goes for the buys as well. If it's a strong enough break, retest, you could see a swing back to the high. But then again, I will be looking for some sales pretty soon after, because it does look like we're forming a bit of a top. I can see on the weekly chart, there's a lot of wicks here, similar to pound CAD, which of course is a very similar pair to EuroCAD. You can see on the weekly chart, a lot of wicks there forming. It does look like the market is really struggling at resistance, so I do expect to see a bit of a drop in the next few days here for pound CAD and EuroCAD. But yeah, I'll wait for us to break out of that noise first, and then hopefully find some opportunities afterwards. Whilst we're in there, I would stay away, and especially with the news coming out, that's a recipe of disaster. Could see price kind of wick in both ways. So it doesn't matter if you're long or short, it probably both get stopped out. But if you can see some momentum outside that range, yeah, I think some opportunities could be around the corner. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. But yeah, guys, we have reached the end of the stream. Like I said, I will be live again later today with Trader Nick, and I also will be live again on Twitter as well. I think that's around 6 p.m. UK time. I'll put the link to that in the Telegram. We'll be speaking about the future of trading, how AI can benefit traders, where prop firm industry is heading towards, how to stay on the right side of things, and again, just generally looking how us retail traders can improve. So if you're interested in that, go check out that stream on Twitter. I'll put the link in the Telegram, like I said, around 6 p.m. But of course, I will be on Trader Nick's channel as well. That's around 1:45, so an hour and 45 minutes from now. If not, I will be live again tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. As usual on my channel too. So yeah, there's much more of me this week. But guys, do really appreciate you tuning in. Drop a like if you have enjoyed today's stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But I really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, chatting with myself. I do really appreciate it. You guys, of course, do make the stream for what it is. So kudos to you guys as well. But take care, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one.